The NFL, it's just like any league. You ranking up to another level. You gotta come with it. And that's what we seeing now. Like you seeing Shedeur literally saying, all I want to do is ball. Like he ready to put his head down and go to work. It's perfect timing. Hey y'all, it's Nothing Lightly. We back with another episode. And we're excited to report to y'all all this news that took place over the weekend. This was basically Mayday for sports. And I'm talking all of them. NFL, college women's basketball, and NBA. I mean, we just got so much to discuss. How are you feeling though? What's going on with you? Just a quick catch up. It's good to be part of sports, watching women's sports, because on the men's side, I think a lot of families were disappointed this weekend. I'm talking especially the Sanders family. I don't know how that was supposed to go, but a lot of people was disappointed. They got what they wanted at the end, though. Spoiler alert. I mean, I'm pretty sure everybody was watching that draft, so. But yeah. That's why I'm glad I'm a fan on the other side of women's sports. And talking about that, I got to say something real quick. The NFL commissioner was shouting out flag football. And that's a women's sport right now. So that just shows everybody's watching women's sports. This is the NFL commissioner. Yeah, I know that's something that you've been heavily talking about. Or you've been promoting that slogan, everybody watches women's sports. And that's somebody else's tagline, but I really just like it. You know, we got to come up with something for Nothing Lightly. We just saying that we just fans of all sports. And I'm a fan of women's sports. I support it all the way. That's all I'm saying. Yeah. So let's get into it, y'all. Follow us on TikTok. Follow us on YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube page, wherever you get your podcast, wherever you listen. Listen to us, Nothing Lightly. Give us 5 stars. And we just gonna get right into this episode. So Deasia kind of gave y'all some spoilers. We talking about the NFL draft. We talking about the transfer portal on the women's side. And of course, the NBA playoffs there. We're still in the first round, but Deasia, we might have a sweep on our hands today. From your, let them know, Cleveland Cavaliers. So let's get started, Deasia. We started with the NFL draft. Let's just start there because that was a lot. That was pretty heavy. Deasia, the first question is, how do you feel about, let's just get into the Shedeur Sanders. Give me your opinion of what happened, or can you explain what you thought as a fan, what went on? What do you think contributed to him slipping down from he was supposed to go top 10, then top 21, top 25, and then slipping all the way down to the 5th round as the 144th pick? What do you think happened there? First of all, I gotta say one thing and make it known. I'm not a football fan. I'm pretty sure Sierra said that before. So I ain't a football fan. I don't really follow it like that. The only thing that I do follow is the Colorado Buffs. I follow them real heavy. So that's the only team that I literally follow. I watch every single game of they last season. I watched every single game. I think the season before that, I probably only missed like 2 or 3 games. And so I would consider you a real fan of Shedeur Sanders. No, not just Shedeur of the Colorado Buffs. I'm rooting for them all. I was happy to see that they drafted so many of them. Plus, they signed, like Shiloh got signed. A couple other players got signed. I'm a fan of what Deion Sanders did and what he's inspiring other black coaches to do. That's what I'm a fan of. And he doing this at the Division I level. But Sierra, I'm not a football fan per se. So I'll take my stance is only for those that are kind of watch here and there is what I'll say. So if you coming to me about this was said in the media, I don't follow football. So I don't know every tweet coming out. I don't know. I can only look at it from a fan's perspective, telling you how I felt about the Buffs because I care about Colorado. That's it. Okay. Dear. So as a fan of Shedeur, I thought he was a specific fan of the Colorado Buffs. How do you feel about that draft? You don't have
Sierra,
to.
I thought he was supposed to go number one because when I was watching the day of the draft, they kept saying, "Oh, Shedeur is picked to go number one. It's either between him or Cam Ward." They was two was supposed to go either one of them, right? So obviously they kept a lot of them was saying, well, they wanted Shedeur because he plays better in the pocket. He's more accurate. So I don't know all these football terms, but I know accuracy, Sierra. That means goals. That means touchdowns. That means somebody's catching the ball, receiving well. That's what I know. And as I watched him all season, Sierra, to me, he's a great quarterback. I mean, perfect timing ain't perfect timing for a reason. That's why he's accurate, you know? So who wouldn't want him on his team? So they was talking about that his accuracy was something that these NFL teams did not want to pass up. This before the draft even started. They wasn't even talking about Travis. They was literally talking about Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders. And what happened? Cam Ward went number one. From Miami, he went number one. And what did Shedeur find himself? Not in the second round, not in the third, in the fifth round. So that was the first blow. Okay, we thinking he gonna come back and they gonna pick the Saints gonna pick him up. He was gonna go number 9. That didn't happen. Even Travis Hunter was surprised then, because mind you, Travis Hunter had already got picked number 2 to go to the Jaguars, and guess who traded that? The Cleveland Browns, who could have literally got them both. Like, why didn't you do that? And then the Cleveland Browns turn around and pick him, the 144th pick in the 5th round. So why didn't you just pick him when you had the chance and you could have got him and Travis Hunter? So again, me from my fan perspective, all I could think is one thing: who are they? What statement is the NFL trying to make? Now, I don't watch tweets on football because I don't care about the sport in the way that I really don't. One thing I will say is I support the Colorado Buffs. So when Dion puts out a tweet or when he posts on his page, I'm actually watching it because I follow them. And I know for sure one thing he was saying in the media was that he didn't know what team. It was only certain teams that he wanted Shedeur to play for. Not only Shedeur and Shiloh. He was saying both. They not going to go to just any team. It's only certain teams. So that was a shot at a lot of teams, I assume. It was very clear, right? So we saw most of the teams pass him up. And there was 5 other quarterbacks selected before him. Now, let's put this in perspective. There's not a lot of quarterback positions to go around. You got Aaron Rodgers still playing, Sierra. Right?
Right.
Russell is still playing. Russell Wilson still playing. You know? Tom Brady played how long? Tom Brady played how long? So there's not a lot of positions to go around. So I will give them that. Maybe these teams just did not, they needed other pieces. But at the end of the day, Sarah, pieces, I don't care what they need. Why? How could this be the person that you thought was going to go number one? How did they get to over 100? 144? 144th pick.
That 100. Can you definitively say that 143 players were better than Shedeur? No.
I don't know, but if we put it in simple math here, they saying that there's 5 other quarterbacks better than him. And let me remind you, guess what the Cleveland Browns did? They chose another quarterback before him. So in this position now, you have 5 quarterbacks at the Cleveland Browns in their quarterback room. 5 of them. 2 of them just got drafted, Shedeur and Gabriel. And they said Shedeur is better than Gabriel. So what statement were you making there? Because now those 2 got to fight for QB1 or coming after Flacco. Because he's supposed to start.
Well, it's a lot to this conversation. And that was a mouthful, DH. I think that you might not watch football, but your analysis of it was pretty good. Because you understand the concept of sports. The thing about it is, I cannot definitively. Now, I watch football. I actually watch it at the college level, and I watch it at the pro level. Of course, I love to watch football. So I would definitively say that I don't think 143 players in the draft were better than Shedeur. I can't say that. Now, you did, though. I'm going to just, give you some information or my opinions of some of the things that you said that stood out, and I'm gonna just tell you my thoughts on that. Was it a lot of NFL teams that needed a quarterback? Is this position kind of on lock? Yes, it is. It's a very competitive position that some teams just don't need a quarterback. But the argument here is it was some teams in the draft that needed a quarterback. The Titans needed a quarterback. They got one. Cleveland, they didn't have, even though they got 5 quarterbacks, they still needed somebody. You needed relief. They was in a weird situation a few weeks ago with their quarterback situation. They was trying to see if Jameis Winston was going to come back. You still don't know what's going on with Deshaun Watson, so it's still up in air. They needed a quarterback. The Giants needed a quarterback. They got a quarterback. So it was several teams, even though it's not a lot in the grand scheme of things, it still was teams available, and he did not go to those teams. Those teams looked him over. So I think that's there. But another point that you made of why didn't the Cleveland Browns select Travis Hunter? I think the Chargers is one of the few teams in the league that was going to play him both ways. So Cleveland Browns, I'm hearing just from NFL analysts that they weren't a team that was willing to do that. So maybe that was why they did not select him. That was a big thing for him. That was, one of his goals. He was vocal about that, DHJ. He wanted to play both sides of the ball. And the Chargers, the Jaguars, the Jaguars, they are willing to let him do that. Plus, I think that Florida is a familiar place for him, It's you're going back south, after you've been in Colorado, I think it's a great home for him. It's a great spot for him. So I think that was what happened there. Now, it was probably some phone calls made at that point when Shedeur was in the 5th round and still hadn't got chosen. Like, Cleveland, you're on the clock. Come on now. It probably was. But my argument to this is, it got to be something that we're missing that they just haven't revealed. This did seem like a shot more so at Deion. I'm not going to throw in other cards that we know that we can throw down. I'm not going to throw that. But it seems like this might have been a shot at Deion. It has something to do with the league is trying to put them on notice or something. Somebody is saying something. And it seems like a lot of teams got together and said, hey, we going to take some control. Like, we're not going to allow this. Now, I don't agree with a lot of those. You said you wasn't watching the Twitters. You wasn't watching a lot of the news stories that came out. But a lot of people were saying this has something to do with Shedeur's attitude, this and that. From the way he carries himself, to me, he carries himself like a young star. He's no different than somebody that's confident. Do I think he's cocky? No, I think he's confident, and it's a thin line, but I think he's on the positive side of that line. He's confident and he's sure of his talents and where he can improve. I think every time he comes in front of the media, he has something valuable to say. And then always what I appreciate from him is the focus is on God. That's the same thing with Deion. The focus is there. Like, what God has for me will be. Every person that goes through some trials and tribulations, they would accomplish this. God's willing, God's will. I think that's the biggest thing that we could have learned in this situation. Now, I do want to say shout out to that family, the Sanders family. They stuck together because imagine all of those cameras in your face, Dish. Imagine all those cameras there waiting for somebody to make a wrong move, somebody to become overwhelmed, anxious, just throw something down, just any little thing. They kept it together. They kept it light. They stayed positive, and they were sure about the outcome in the end. The outcome in the end was he was drafted. Same thing with Shiloh. So I'm happy for that. Now, we know it's a lot, so this is a story that I think that we should continue to, keep eyes on and see what comes of it. But shout out to Shedeur Sanders. I'm happy for Shiloh. I'm happy for Travis Hunter. I think that it's going to be an amazing debut for your Colorado Buffs, DH. It's exciting. I do want to point out Cam Ward, his value. He was the number 1 draft pick to the Tennessee Titans, who needed a quarterback. I think he's going to bring new life to that program, new life to that organization. But his contract was valued as the highest paying contract for a number 1 pick. So I think that's an amazing accomplishment. But Deasia, we will be remiss if we don't shout out all of those that are drafted. This is a life-changing moment for all of these draftees, all of those that were signed. Shout out to y'all. Congratulations. Well deserved. It was a exciting draft. Like, Deasia, we did watch it through the round. So if they wanted the drama, it was there. We watched it all the way through. But congratulations to all the drafts. All those that were drafted, all those that were signed. Nothing lightly says congratulations.
Before we move on, I'll just say that the bad thing about being drafted 144th versus number one is you don't get the contract. That's another bad thing.
Yeah,
He lost out on not millions of dollars, multi-millions.
Right.
It was $100 million difference.
$40 million.
I've almost seen over $100 million difference
Dang.
here in the long term. I don't know how accurate that was, but what I did see on TikTok, that was crazy. Somebody else said, this is one story that I heard. This was just another fan, just like us, watching it. Some lady was reporting and said, she wasn't reporting, she was just taking her take, just like how we reacting to it. She said the NFL wants a story, and Shedeur and Shiloh, all these, they don't have a story, she was saying, because they come from a positive and a pretty well-off black family. But all these other players that's gotten drafted, they want a story from them.
Right.
Now, yeah. I don't know if I believe that to be all the way true, but I kind of understand what she's saying. In other words, she was saying the NFL want that we picked you up, we changed your life story. That's what they want.
You came from nothing or a humble beginning.
You came from nothing. So they can't do that with Shedeur because he's already well off. Like you said, he got God behind him. He didn't have to struggle from what we know. Sierra. But I don't know if I agree with that. That was just an interesting take. And I'm saying it here that, you do see those stories commonly on the NFL draft day. You see that in the NBA too. You see that in the WNBA. Every draft is going to have a story, whether that's my mother played basketball, my father he worked in the factory, but after work he would go shoot with me, or he would go take me to football practice. All these stories, they're going to come out. They're going to dig deep for them. And they do that for media, right? That's why they got so many people to watch to the 5th round. I bet you if you go back and looked at the numbers, this probably was one of the most watched because everybody was rooting for Shedeur. I mean, that's just a fact. But I don't know if I agree with her, but I just found that interesting, and I thought I'd mention that. The NFL does like a good story, but I don't think they're alone in that. The WNBA likes the story. The NBA likes the story. I'm pretty sure soccer. I was watching a clip from their draft, and one girl, she was a soccer athlete, just like she was going on to be a professional. Basically, she got drafted. She said, "Shedeur, you're not the only one that this happened to." So, again, this stuff happens in all sports. Is he isolated in this? We don't know.
Right.
What I can say about this draft is what I wanted to say, and I think I've already mentioned this to you, Sierra, while we was talking about the draft a couple days ago. That this shows you the difference between the different drafts. You see the WNBA draft, they don't draft as many players. And what I will say about the WNBA is similar to the NFL, where the players that are going to get drafted is only the ones that the team needs. You could have a really good guard in there, Sierra, but if the team don't need a guard that's up for the pick, say the Sky, they don't need a guard, they're not going to draft that person. That's not what they need. They only got so much. The NFL is similar in the aspect of, we saw it. Some of these teams didn't need a quarterback. There was only certain teams that needed one, so the ones that didn't, they automatically looked him over. Yeah. Right? It's just that they got so many. You got over 144 people. See, I think still in the 5th round, it was like 200 picks. Not talking about all the people that got signed after being undrafted. This is how many people are going. Yeah. Now, the NBA, Sierra, the difference there is, no matter what, they're going to pick the best player. If the Bulls are up, Sierra, and the best player in the draft is they pick, they're going to pick them. Whether they need them or not, they're going to figure out something. You see that more commonly in the NBA.
Or they going to trade. They're not most so focused on position as much. It's either they want it or they trading it, but you don't see, hey, I'm still on the clock.
Sierra, you're not going to see the Bulls pass up the number one pick because they don't need the number one pick. Yeah, you're not going to see that.
They're not going to do that. That's very rare.
Or even a number 2 pick, Sierra. You won't see what happened with the Cleveland Browns. Them basically, one of the best players in the draft, they literally gave him away because they don't want him to play both sides of the ball. That's like the NBA saying, well, we got a LeBron almost. But we don't want him to play defense. We only want him to shoot. So we're going to let the Pistons get him. Like, what?
Yeah, they not going to do that. Yeah, you're right. That's a good point. DH, I wanted to add, I'm glad that we still on this for a second, though. I wanted to mention something. I wondered if you heard about this. Did you hear about the defensive coordinator's son prank calling Shedeur Sanders and telling him you got drafted to the Atlanta Falcons? So the context is, yeah, it was the defensive coordinator's son, who's a college football player, actually, who prank called him, got a hold of the phones, because, mind you, those are specific phones. Like, they only get phone numbers out to the coaches. Like, everybody, the public, everybody around the team does not have access to the number, right? It's only certain phone that, like, pretty much everybody don't have a number. You got to be somebody to this organization, a coach, GM, the owners that have this numbers, right? And most of the time it's coaches. But anyway, the coach's son got a hold of the phone and prank call. And I'm hearing that this didn't just happen to Shedeur, but this was the biggest story, because he answered the phone and it was like, can you imagine that, Deasia? It's like you now, he's been waiting. He finally gets a call and you're prank calling me. So a lot of people are upset, and I feel a way as Deasia, this should never be allowed. Some people are saying this should go as if legal action should be taken. I don't know if they can do that, but something the family needs to be fined. The coach might need to be fired if possible, because you just can't do this. That's just like, you getting promised your dream job for somebody on the other end tied to the recruiter saying, you got this job that you've been waiting for, your dream job, and it's all a joke. And this is nationally televised, like, you're on camera, you this and that, everybody's going to hear about this. It's like taking the air out of the room. How would you feel, DH, if something like that happened? What is your reaction to that?
That would have been devastating. I didn't even know that happened. But, I mean, it's not funny. It's just like, this is just showing the world of social media. This is showing the world of technology. Like, this all coming down to phone calls. Why not change this?
It's like a malfunctioning data, DH.
Yeah, you can't figure out no other way to do this. I mean, that to me is like going up to, you figured out you was supposed to make some all-star team in a tournament that you was playing in, and like, they didn't want you or something, like your name was not on that list, or they misspelled your name and that was supposed to be somebody else. Like, it's kind of those type of feelings. In other words, you still didn't make it. No matter what mistake happened, you didn't make it. They literally got to tell you to your face, you did not make it. That's the sad part about it. So you still got to wait. You basically, he continued to have to wait. What I will say, this one thing about the phone calls. I mean, this one is sad, but one story that I like to watch is when the player walked away from because you don't know when they're going to get called. They walk away from the couch and the mother picks up the phone call, and she like, who is this? And then you can't hear what they saying, but you can like see her face light up, and everybody in the room is like on edge. Like, is that finally the team that we've been waiting on all night to call? And then the mother started bouncing around and looking around. And all of a sudden, she started jumping around and like dancing. And then the player finally comes back and they show them. And he like grabs the phone and start talking. And then after that, it just goes wild. I like to see that type of story. And that's what we get to see. So yeah, it was a lot of sadness with this draft. But you get to see, this is what goes back to what that other lady was saying. They want a story. You want to see the families. Like, it's some funny stuff that go down on that couch. Like, you literally will see a girl come up to the player trying to give him a hug. And the mother like, get away. This is the family time. Would you move out of, I saw that so many times. Like, one mother got so mad. Like, what are you doing over here? He on the phone. She literally like pushed the girl. And the girl she did walk up awkwardly. Like, he was literally on the phone. See her, she walks up and surrounds him. And the mother looked like gone. See her, it's a lot that go down on them couches.
I didn't know you was watching that. But if you think about it, Deasia, this is a dream come true. They've been waiting all their lives. So the family's been there most of the time. Your mom has taken you to practice as a peewee. Yo, your dad was out there throwing balls to you playing catch. Oh, I wanted to tell you another thing that happened. That you're right. Some great things. They allowed Travis Hunter dad, who was, in the system. I guess he was on probation. They allowed him to come to the draft. And when he won the Heisman, he wasn't able to celebrate in that moment with him. But this one, they allowed it. Like, those are moments that, yeah, this is the biggest moment of your life, of your career, to start this off, and for your dad to be able to be present. That probably meant a lot. So you're right. We can see some devastation in some of this, but it is some things that it's inspiring, Deasia. And so I do want to just say one more time, congratulations to all those that were drafted. Congratulations to the 2025 NFL draft for, sharing these stories with us and giving us this opportunity to talk about it. It was
Sierra, don't forget to shout out them buffs. Like,
Yeah.
you gotta,
Shout
they
out
had
to
their
Buff.
own combine. I mean, Deion Sanders, look how many people he got going off to the NFL. I don't know the numbers compared to Miami or Notre Dame, Ohio State. I don't know. I don't care because I only care about the Buffs. But shout them out, Sierra. Like them boys, they going to the NFL. I mean, some of them got to fight for their spot. Even Shedeur literally has to fight for his spot. But come on now.
Yeah, shout them out. Shout out every player that was drafted. That's life changing. And that is just stories like this is why we do this, because we want to uncover this. So who's ever listening, we want to share
that dog mentality gonna come out, and these players are ready. They ready to go on to the next level. Like anybody, I don't care if you number 1, you number 250, you gotta come with it. The NFL, it's just like any league. You ranking up to another level, you gotta come with it. And that's what we seeing now. Like you seeing Shedeur literally saying, all I want to do is ball. Like he ready to put his head down and go to work. It's perfect timing.
I will say this before we end on this conversation, that I think this will be one of them drafts that we are going to remember. So 5 years from now, you're going to be... So some of them, DH, we've been watching these for years. Like, this is some part of the NFL that we, together, we do watch. We like to watch at least the first round, And we had some close friends that was, they was close to being drafted. So I think that's kind of what sparked our interest. But I think when we look back 5 years from now, we're going to remember this draft, and it's going to be one to talk about. So I want to ask you, Deasia, you compared the Buffs to, how Deion Sanders was able to help draft so many of his players. Do you compare that to like what Don Staley or what Geno is doing, like those big names in basketball, which we follow very closely? How do you compare his success when it translates to the next level to some of your favorite coaches in basketball?
I would say right now it's a difference because he turned the Buffs around, which is, I already follow him because this was a team that barely could win a game to now they was winning several games in a season until they basically trying to contend for their championship in a conference. He did that. But one big difference between what Don Staley and Geno are able to do and what Deion Sanders is, they win at the national level. He hasn't gotten there yet. I'm sure he will. They get players to the WNBA to the next level, but they win. And that winning is what allows them to do that. You're going to see Geno, on average, 3 to 4 girls from his team's going to go to the WNBA. And on average, maybe 2 of them going to end up being superstars, all stars. Some of your best players in the WNBA. What does Don Staley do, Sierra? She just wins. She just wins and wins and wins. That's all she do. She does it better than the guy that's across from her. And what does she say? She wins more but gets paid less. But now she's getting paid for what she's doing. And why is that? It's because she's successful. She wins and she puts people in a position to go to the WNBA. I won't say that the players are as successful in the WNBA as Geno's are, but she has probably just as many going, or that opportunity. All you need is an opportunity. It's up to the players to get to the next level and succeed. She puts it out there for them. He did that, Sierra. They're going to the next level. It's up to them to do what they need to do to make the NFL teams. The same thing with the WNBA, Sierra. She literally does that. And she's one of the best at it. That's why it's no surprise that these players, they get in the transfer portal and it's only a couple teams they trying to go to. One team you never see them go to is UConn, though. I never see a person going to UConn. You don't. You think he in the transfer portal, Sierra? He's still drafting he still wants the top 1, 2, 3 players in the country, and they coming to him. He don't need to be in the transfer portal.
You don't even see his players enter the transfer portal.
They
you
don't
see him picking up, and you don't see them entering. So that's a good comparison. But I do want to highlight what we were saying is I think that Shedeur Sanders, he gives the opportunity. You just said that, and I think that's the biggest takeaway. That was, that's what he offered, the opportunity. Some of these players, Deasia, might have been just those that, maybe they would have slipped through. But the lights was on that team, Deasia, so people was able to see who these guys were. They had everything. You got these NFL coaches, these former players. He has all of the resources for them to be successful, and I think that is the comparison. And you did say that they give the opportunities, and that's what Gino and Dawn Staley. But speaking of the transfer portal, as we just threw that out, our girl, Mylasia Fulwiley, she entered the transfer portal. We became aware of that about 1 or 2 weeks ago. But she just, over the weekend, committed to LSU. Deasia, you said that none of UConn's players, and we both agreed that they don't enter the transfer portal, or they do not. Gino isn't looking. It hasn't been made known to the public that he has picked up anybody out of the transfer portal. How do you feel about Mylasia Fulwiley, probably the top player in her class, leaving South Carolina to go play for LSU Kim Mulkey? How do you feel about that?
I'll say one thing. You don't really see Dawn's players into that transfer portal either, but you will see her grab a player from there. I don't know how she makes room on her team, but somehow. Well, I guess they go off. Some of them graduate. They graduated. So then she has 1 or 2 spots, and she does recruit. But she also gets them from the transfer portal. She does. But this is the first time we seen this happen. But me and you weren't surprised, Sierra. Like, we saw this happening. It was several games where Mylasia Fulwiley should have been in the game. Just as a fan, me watching, I don't know what's going on in the locker room. I don't know what's going on with the plays, or maybe that's not like... But every play, Sarah, if you just got somebody that's that great with the ball, that's that poised, that can get any shot she want, I just don't never see how you can't figure out a play for her, a set, and call her number. She gonna score. Yeah, she gonna miss some shots, but you gotta have her out there to miss or make. If she's not out there, she's scoring 0. She's not out there, she's not making plays. And a lot of her plays are also defensively too. Yeah. She's somebody that no matter what, Sarah, you need her on the floor. And we just did not see that consistently this year. And honestly, I think if she would have played a lot more, South Carolina would have had a better season. They played really well. They made it to the championship. But, Sarah, that game would have been different had Mylasia Fulwiley been in the lineup more consistently. So it's not surprising to me. I'm hearing a lot of people saying, well, stick with Dawn because you're trying to get to the WNBA and she develops players. Yes, she does develop players for the WNBA. But at the end of the day, you got to figure out personnel. Mylasia Fulwiley is already ready for the WNBA. No matter what, she can go in the WNBA, Sarah, and be a superstar right now. We watch the best in the WNBA every day. When I hear these things, I question, do you watch the WNBA? Because it's 2 players, maybe I'll say 5 that can go to the WNBA right now. And one of them is Juju, one of them is Sarah Strong, one of them is Mylasia Fulwiley, and there's a couple more. They can go play in the WNBA right now and get buckets, Sierra. The only thing Mylasia Fulwiley got to develop for the WNBA is more strength. Other than that, what else do you need from her? Yeah. We forget that the WNBA is the same players that just coming from college. That's all it is.
Yeah, they don't have the G League like in NBA to develop, because you see a lot of college players that might not be all the way they do go develop in the G League, those that are not the highest prospects. But DH, that's not the case here. So I'm gonna ask you a question. What do you think that she is going to accomplish with LSU and Kim Mulkey? What
Sierra,
do
I
you think?
already knew. What you say?
What do you think about that? What more is she gonna accomplish? Because this is the first question. Did she miss out on a lot of opportunities with South Carolina? And then what is she gonna accomplish with LSU?
Sierra, I think South Carolina, they played her the way they should have her freshman year. This year, Dawn Staley for some reason could not play her the way that she should have been played. This was a year where maybe she shouldn't have started, Sierra, but she should have been finishing every game. Or maybe starting the second half of every game. We did not see that. In fact, some games, Sierra, we was wondering, is she gonna get in? And she never got in. Those are missed opportunities of development, of just, she's one of your best, Sierra. And when I say she one of your best, I'm not on the side of Raven Johnson should be taken out, or you can't play Pow Pow, or you can't play Tessa. No, they have to play too. That's what makes South Carolina so good. Dawn Staley just could not figure out how to play them all. Malaysia Fulwiley took the least amount of minutes out of all of them. Maybe Tessa and her were both not playing a lot. But see, Tessa is still there, Sierra. Malaysia Fulwiley, let's just be honest, she's better than Tessa Johnson, And Tessa Johnson is really good. But I'm just saying, I'm going to call a spade, Sierra. You cannot say, let's take Malaysia Fulwiley out the game and let's keep playing Raven Johnson more. They both have to play for them to win. Pow Pow has to play too for them to win. But Dawn could not figure it out that they all could play. We just kept seeing Malaysia Fulwiley on the bench, and then they're down. Why don't you pull her in and start scoring? They barely beat Maryland, Sierra, and she was in.
I think that was a lot of the downfall that we saw late in the tournament. That when we noticed she could have contributed, despite what was ever going on in the locker room, or despite how deep that team was, it was moments when me and you was talking about, like, go to her. You need help. You're struggling. Get some energy. Get some scoring, some quick scoring. Which those are her strengths. Now, Deasia, what about that other question? What do you think that she is to gain by going to LSU?
A lot of people saying, oh, she should have went to this team. She should have went to this team. I told you right away. And I think I even put it in one of our comments of when we originally said Malaysia Fulwiley on TikTok. When we originally said she's being transferred. In the transfer portal. I said it's only one team she's going to go to, and that was LSU. This was 2 weeks ago. We found out this week, or this past weekend, that she committed to LSU. It was no surprise to me. I already knew that Mulkey likes those type of players. Sierra, she only goes for a couple type of players, and one of them is a dog. That's what Malaysia Fulwiley is. And then, if you look at
scrappy players,
yeah, she likes scrappy players. She likes hustlers. She likes dogs. Sierra, you will never see her with a guard that's really not out there scoring. She wants a scoring guard. She has that consistently. Let's remind you, she got Haley Van Leaf. She had Angel Reese. She got Morrow. She has Flage. What else do you want, Sierra? We even talk about Williams. These are just the type of players, Sierra. Malaysia Fulwiley fits perfect with LSU. A lot of people may say, well, Mulkey is not going to develop her. I don't know if she will or not, but I know one thing, Malaysia Fulwiley could develop herself if she's playing. She can't develop on the bench.
That's a good point you made. I want to highlight, because our TikTok went crazy with that post when we just shared what was trending at the time, that Malaysia into the transfer portal. The comments was, some of them was hard to, like you said, do you watch basketball? Do you watch the WNBA? Do you watch college basketball? It was just a lot of, I would say, the general atmosphere of people was saying, well, she's not. And Deasia, you love to watch South Carolina. This is your bread and butter. I would say you pretty much an expert analysis on the climate of college basketball for women's right now. Do you think that she was gonna be any better by staying on South Carolina? Do you think this means that South Carolina is gonna continue to go on and win? I mean, Deasia, do you think this gives LSU a better edge by picking her up? Some people were saying it was like, why did she go there? She's still not gonna win. Like, the comments was crazy. What is your expert analysis on? Just give me basically a rebuttal to everything that we read in those comments.
So he's over 100-something comments, so I can't say them all. But as one of them, I did see, like you saying, they saying, "Oh, this was terrible. Why go to LSU? LSU never wins." Did we just forget? LSU just won 2 years ago. They literally did. What? So we forgetting that they just won, and I mean, why all of a sudden we see Geno win again. We seen South Carolina. You forget that LSU is probably one of those top teams. They're still a top team. They just didn't have all the pieces this year. They were missing a point guard, which they just got. What more? I mean, and then now they got the bigs. What does Moki do? She gets from the portal and she also recruits. She knew she needed a big this year. What does she go get? She got a big. She got some players that are gonna. She wants a scrappy player, Sierra. She got a top 25 player. That's what she needed. I wouldn't be surprised, Sierra, there with the moves that they made, plus the Flage. I would hope that she's doing more than rapping. I know she is,
She's always working on her game.
Yeah, Sierra, I'm not taking away from nothing. I know that she's working on her game, consistently working on her game. She came back and was a much better player than last year. Yeah, imagine what she's going to come back this year and be. She's going to be a better player. You already got Williams. Plus, now you added Malaysia. Sierra, they just top 3 right now. Notre Dame is slid down. Why is that not in the comments? But we kept seeing LSU. You should be talking about, wow, this is going to be hard for Tennessee, Notre Dame, Ole Miss. All these players missed out. I mean, all these teams missed out on her because they could have gotten a lot better. But guess what? LSU was the one that got her. And South Carolina said they didn't get worse from losing her. That's the good thing about them, because she wasn't playing her no way, so it didn't matter for them.
Right.
Sierra, I really don't think Dawn Staley was going to turn around and even play her much more this year, because you got to think she just got somebody else from the transfer portal to play with Raven Johnson. And this was somebody that was really good on Florida State, Sierra. I don't think that she was going to turn around and play her much more. Do I think they could come back and win a championship? Yes. Do I think LSU can come back and win a championship now? Yes. Do I think UConn has to worry? Yes. That's what I feel.
Well, Deasia, I think that a lot of this, it was a shock. Although me and you kind of predicted it, I think it was a shock to a lot of people, especially South Carolina fans, because it's like you kind of almost didn't appreciate her, but you just expected her to just keep riding this wave. At some point, Deasia, and I want to say for the business side of it, she needs to be playing. I mean, she kind of lost out to me just watching on a lot of opportunity. Yes, we know her name, but Deasia, she sits out and gets less minutes, sacrifices minutes for another season, Deasia. What does that do to her brand if she's trying to get drafted in the next season? What happens with this? Plus, you still haven't players that are filtering back into college basketball. We don't know who's going to emerge. She can't continue to waste another year. And she went to a team where, they needed a point guard, and she rounded out the backcourt, Deasia. Now they're set. Now they can just focus on winning. They not focused on, we need another piece. Because that was clear. They needed a guard. They needed a point guard. They had guards. But is Flage a point guard? Is Williams a point guard? No. They needed a point guard. I think that was why they lost in the Elite Eight, that they kind of didn't have somebody running the ship, facilitating the ball, making the correct plays. You kind of had a lot of standing around, but if you got a guard like Wiley who's ready for the moment, taking the big shots, making those big plays, actually active on defense, and that was another comment that I didn't like. Oh, she don't play defense. What? She don't play defense. How many steals do we see her come up with, Deasia, in those big moments? She's making the big plays. And I think that's what Kim Mulkey appreciates. Not just Kim Mulkey, Flage, Williams. They like, come on, we ready. It's up. So I'm excited for that. Um,
Sarah,
and
it's gonna be a lot of teams affected by that trade. That's all I could say.
yeah,
I
I
mean,
think
in
DH.
college basketball, we gotta say one thing. Why do people look at this as if she gotta be tied to South Carolina? Like there's this thing called the transfer portal. You no longer have to stay committed to a team. I mean, it's like she gotta wear South Carolina across her chest for you to like her as a player. If you a real fan of South Carolina, LSU, Notre Dame, UConn, Tennessee, Florida, whatever, you just a fan of women's basketball, won't you support these girls and just be happy whatever they decide? Have the same energy you had for Haley Van Leaf bouncing around teams until she went to the Chicago Sky with Mylasia Full-Wiley. She's trying to go to the WNBA. Don Staley is not the only person that could do that. Let's not forget, Moki has sent many players to the WNBA. Dejanay, Angel Reese, Morrow. Need I say more? Nalissa. How many players? She has sent a lot to the WNBA. She's going to do the same thing. Flage is going to go. Oh, Haley Van Leaf also played for Kim Mulkey. That comment didn't make no sense to me. Don is the only one that could send people to the WNBA. No, she's not. Mylasia Full-Wiley is still going to go top 3 to the WNBA draft in 2 years. Mark my words.
I'm gonna just say this. I'm gonna take it a little further. Even if she didn't go to any of these teams, if she went to play for doggone University of Illinois, she was going to the WNBA. It didn't matter who she played for. She could play for a mid-major, a major. She doing this so she can play. DH, that's the worst thing that a good basketball player can do, is not play. That's the worst thing to your basketball, your confidence playing basketball. This was a move for her. It wasn't a move because I want to make a team better. DH, as a scorer, as a point guard, if you don't play, this is a shot to your confidence. And we saw she was very passionate in that last interview that something had to give. It seems like DH, she's just desperate to play. We can say everything that we want to say about this. This is calculated. This was this, that. That looks like a player. Mylasia looks like she is in desperate need of playing. She wants to have the basketball. She wants to be in a position where her number is called, Deja, where she's getting minutes that she deserves. That's all it comes down to. So if University of Illinois was offering her to play and South Carolina wasn't, that's where she was going, and we can be rest assured, Deja, that she would have went to the WNBA. She's going. She's not would have. She's going. So that's that. I'm excited for her. Congratulations, Mylasia. Congratulations, LSU. And I think that you said the right thing, Deja. Teams should be worried, starting with UConn. Because they're the ones that had the most to defend. They have to come back and defend the championship. South Carolina, they got a chip on their shoulders because they lost in such bad fashion. Like, that was uncharacteristic of them. But who has
Sarah,
the
they
most to
still
lose?
in great shape. People fail to
UConn.
realize that part. That okay, they lost Mylasia. They still have Don Staley, a winning coach. You still got Raven Johnson. You got Tessa Johnson. I mean, they just drafted somebody from Florida State Sierra scoring over 20 points per game. They just got her from the transfer portal. Not to mention, she got a 6'6" bid coming. What do you think? This is still they number one right now just for that. And LSU is also could be number one because of who they got. Mylasia Full-Wiley. Let's talk about USC. They got players from UCLA swinging a fence from California. This is all happening in the portal. So the only team that didn't get anybody was UConn. So that's the funny part. What is Gino going to do? Oh, but I saw him on the recruiting portal. I've been seeing TikToks of him at the gym. So he's looking for girls to recruit out of high school. That's what he's doing. And guess what? They want to go there. So he's not too worried.
And he finds them because he got a deep recruiting staff, Deja. He got recruiters that's going to get him. I want the number one player in this country. I want this. So we seeing that. I just say this is huge for women's basketball. This is huge for college. And it's going to be exciting to see what's happening this summer and what's going to happen next fall when the season starts. Now, Deja, let's transition into the NBA with the time that we have left. How you feeling? Let's just start with your team. You've been riding with the Cavaliers. We talked about them last time. How you feeling though? They just it. We said in the beginning of the show that they was looking to sweep, and they did. Yeah, I think they end up winning by 50 something points, 52 the last I was watching. I had to turn it off because it was just. I mean, how do you feel about that, Deasia? And what do you see for this team? Because you saw them in playoff mode. You was actually there at the game, and we talked about that last time. But do you think this team has what it takes to get through this Eastern Conference?
There, they probably one of the best teams. I feel like they prove that they better than the Celtics right now. The Celtics has lost and they run so far in they playoff series. And this, let's not get it wrong. When I was at the game watching the Cavs, I saw a very good Heat team, and they beat a very good team. You know, the Heat weren't out there just like don't care basketball. You had Bam, he scored over 20 points the first game. So this is just, they beat a very good Heat team, is what I would say, and they swept them. And scoring over 50, beating them by 50 points here, that just shows, like I had already told you, this team is deep. You got scores from everywhere. You got shooters, you got bigs, you got great guards.
Yeah,
I mean,
Garland didn't even play, Deasia.
Sierra, come on. This is what I'm saying, Sierra. And this is somebody who got the ball on the string. He just controls the floor. And then you got Spider, Sierra. He is unstoppable at the rim, and he can shoot the three consistently. So this is a team that's going to be hard to stop. I just think they got great rim protection. I can't wait to see them get to the Eastern Conference Finals, hopefully against the Celtics. We don't know at this point. You know, this is a team that I think that nobody could see coming. And if the Lakers don't go, this is who I'm rooting for. Let them know.
Yeah, that was short and to the point. I mean, you can't say that Miami was dominant. They are good, and we know what they do historically in the playoffs. They somehow pull themselves together, and they'll slip up and get to the Eastern Conference Finals, and then make it to the finals under their coach. I don't know how they do it, but you said they were a good team. But what happened tonight? By 50 points, do you think that's just this is over with, we down 3-0, and, what do you think?
I don't know, Sarah. You really don't see a team come back 3-0, is what I could say. Yeah. I mean, it's hard to even come back down 3-1. We know who does that. That's LeBron who does that. And we hoping that he could figure out a way on the Lakers to do that, because he got to do it. That's what has to be done. He literally has to come back 3-1 or the Lakers are out. This is a team that didn't have to play in the play-in, but maybe they should have, because they're playing like they don't care right now. We're waiting for them to play some defense consistently and outscore the other team. Literally outscore the other team. We said it on our last episode that these teams are scoring 130 some points. So maybe the game of basketball is no longer about just defense. It's about you literally got to outscore the other team to win a game.
Yeah, I think that last game, they allowed the Timberwolves to hang around. They were up. They led most of the game. They definitely led in the third quarter. But the fourth quarter, we just didn't see it. I don't think LeBron scored in the fourth quarter. But the fact is, Deasia, and this is, I don't know if you knew this, and JJ Redick played LeBron 28, it was something crazy, 28 straight minutes. He played 42, I think, of the 48 minutes. Luka played like 22 minutes straight. They didn't come out of the game. So do you think, that has, in my opinion, that definitely contributes. He don't take a shot in the fourth quarter, and mind you, Luka had what? 30-something, 38. It was some crazy number. And LeBron had 27 points. So it wasn't that. It's just that their legs, LeBron isn't on young legs. He's still able to do more than most players. He's able to do, he's still the most athletic player on the court. But is this hard to sustain for anybody? You're not coming out of the game. At a young team, the Timberwolves team, with fresh legs, young legs that are coming at you from each end of the court. You see how Anthony Edwards is playing. I think he had 42. He's saying, I'm putting this series is going to come down to me. I'm not allowing the refs. I'm not allowing the coaches. I'm not allowing fans. This gonna come down to me. And I just think that the Lakers have not found it because it's like what you said. It's basic. It's simple. You have to outscore the other team. And they are failing to do that. I think Reeves only was like 6 of 14 from the field. It was a crazy number. He ended up having 17, but that's not enough. That you take this many shots and only make, it's just not enough. And I want to point out, Deation, I was watching the play late in the second quarter. This is what they're doing. And I think what Timberwolves are doing to defend and isolate, take Luka away is exceptional. So it was a play, Deation. They picked up Luka at the half court. 2 guys left their man and immediately trapped Luka. The middle was open, so he made the right play. He got the ball into the middle, right? Now, at that point, when you get the ball into the middle, this is like 3-man weave. This is simple basketball. Follow mediation. When the ball is in the middle, it is a 2-on-1 at that point. The guy had a 2-on-1. Instead, he throws the ball into the corner. Not a bad decision, right? The corner is wide open for a 3. But what does that guy do? He doesn't take the wide open 3. He dribbles in the corner dribbles towards the baseline, Deation, to the side of the basket. And he doesn't come up with the shot. And guess what the defense does? Now it recovers. So now all of that time has been off the clock and you waste the play and it's a turnover. This is how they're taking Luka away and they're coming up successful. It is excellent defense from the Timberwolves because you basically get what you wanted. But why doesn't the Lakers play with confidence? It's either you going to attack the baskets on a 2-on-1 situation or you shoot an open 3. You cannot dribble. This team is too scrappy, too feisty. You got Anthony Edwards that's coming up at the rim that'll block something like LeBron can. What are you doing? Take what the defense is giving you. If they would do that, and this was happening all game, DH, if they would take what the defense gives them, this series will be tied.
Yeah, I mean, that's simple basketball. It's nothing that I could say. I can't rebuttal that. All I could say is that's what you learned since you were a kid. When you in a 3-man weave, that's all that is. 3-man weave, 2-on-1 coming back. Take what the defense gives you. That drill is not like, oh, we just going through the motions. That's literally a game time play drill, and you seeing that at the professional level. You gotta take shots, and it's kind of funny that you seeing that with JJ Redick's team because on his podcast, I mean, I watched so many episodes of him and LeBron, and all they kept talking about is we want to shoot threes, we want to shoot the open 3. The team that shoots the most threes is the team that wins. Now you telling me a play guy open for a 3 don't take it. I mean, I'm sure JJ Redick is talking about this right now in that film room, Sierra.
Yes, in that film room, he probably highlighted the many open opportunities just like that. I mean, you couldn't write it up. You got 2 good options. The best option is to attack the basket, go get fouled, or make the layup. But if you don't do that, it's not a bad option to throw the ball to the wide open man. But he has to take the shot. You can't dribble to the basket because now you're going at the defense.
If you don't take that shot consistently, they won't come out there. Guess what? The hole will never be open. You have to shoot. A shooter got to shoot. If you're a shooter, you have to shoot. If you're not a shooter, then why are you in there? Because if you, Sarah, I don't care if you're not a shooter, you got to take that open shot because the defense will continuously to pack the lane. And guess what? You're going to go 0 for 20 and going to cost that game. Until you start taking that shot, it's better to take that shot and miss than to never take that shot.
Yes, you have to take, I don't care if you can't shoot at all. You have to take the open shot. Who do we see does this all the time? The Warriors. It could be Draymond sitting in the corner taking that open shot. We've seen it for years with Iguodala. Once they break the defense down, they're taking the open shot, whether they hit it or not. It's telling the defense, you gotta defend me upright. You gotta defend me. You have to come out. I gotta keep you. What is the term that I'm looking for? I gotta keep you honest. You have to stay honest and come out on me. I don't care if you're a shooter or not. It's wide open. You're in the NBA. Take the shot. Pull the trigger. Shoot the ball. You cannot go into the defense because you got players that play above the rim, they knocking that out of there. Or the shot clock is running, you're turning the ball over. So I'm like, I can't believe that now you getting what you want. Let them keep trapping Luka. Fine. We're gonna hurt you this way. That's what you want. And this is why they gotta play all of these minutes. I think that JJ needs to maybe make some changes with that. But a lot of this comes down to Luka and LeBron, they need help by the other team. Reeves definitely has to play better. He got to play better. But you also need your role players. You need shooters to knock down shots and make those good plays. It can't be just a defensive team. And that's what we're seeing right now. They can play defense, because these games have been close. They all have been close. But you gotta go out and score. And then you gotta clinch the game in the end. It shouldn't come down to LeBron is swiping and they throw the play away. And I feel a way about that. Give the ball back to the Timberwolves, and that's that. They end up winning by 3 or whatever. They hit the free throws, and, we missed the 3 from Reeves wide open in the corner. This just stuff. This shouldn't even happen. Now I want to highlight that play. Why do you have NBA to review a play, but it's not consistent in the league? Josh Hart definitely had made contact, and so the Pistons go down 3-1. Wow. They didn't call the play when he clearly fouled. He clearly made very reasonable contact. And it's a term for that. And he made contact. But the league and the officials came back and admitted to making the wrong call. Admitted. Even if they did, why did they share that with the public? They admitted this. But then you watch a later game with the Lakers, and it's called, like, you gotta be fair, because this can very well be the series. Each team went down 3-1. So you gotta have some consistency.
You can't get mad at them for coming back and making the right call. Somebody probably told them, you better not make that wrong call again.
Yeah, maybe they did. I'm not getting mad. A foul is a foul. But I'm arguing that you gotta be consistent. Why have the review if you not? They had to. I wasn't watching. I don't know if they review, but you just gotta be consistent. And I think this is a series where we're actually seeing them play a lot. I'm watching the Warriors in Houston. That series had been getting real scrappy. So I just think you got to be consistent, because a lot of these teams, and definitely in the West, is so close of a margin where this could very well decide it. So I will say that. But I'm Lakers fans, so me and you are deep Lakers fans. So it's going to be hard to just see them lose. It's hard. Now, let's finish up with just what's your thoughts. What do you think with this Warriors and Houston series? Have you been following it?
Yeah, I think the Warriors are going to go on and win that series. I think they just got experience, and Houston doesn't have that. They're young. Yeah. They not ready this year. If they do win, I'll be very surprised. And I feel like Curry took his foot off the gas, because it's Curry's time right now, Sierra. I hate to say it. Draymond might have been right. Maybe they are on a championship run. And I don't like to agree with what Draymond says, because, he goes behind people's neck and pull them down. So when you talked about Gobert, that's all I keep bringing up. But
we see Gobert gets dirty too.
Yeah, so that I was waiting for you to bring that up. But anyway, back to Draymond, Sierra. He might have been right. Maybe he was right. Maybe the Warriors, this state time, they on a championship run. We don't know if the Lakers are just yet. I don't know, because they got to come back 3-1. And then if they do come back 3-1 and they end up winning, I know LeBron going to put that in another ring. But right now, it's not looking good for the Lakers, but it's looking very good for the Warriors. And I know Golden State fans are happy. You can't be mad at them. But like I said, Sarah, I'm just happy I got another team if the Lakers don't pull it out.
Your cast.
Yeah, I'm letting them know.
Yeah. Well, let's keep watching. I think this first round has been, it's been pretty good to watch. Sometimes the first round it's like these teams either get 3-1, the gentleman's sweep, as they say, and it's not but I think this one is very well matched. So especially on the Western Conference, because we knew a lot of the teams that was in there. Even you see the Warriors, they had to be in the play-in. Like, these teams really weren't playing caliber teams. Even the Nuggets and the Clippers, that series is pretty good. So I think all of these series are pretty good, but I am surprised, like you did mention earlier, about the Celtics. So I'm going to keep watching that. But this is what we have. I mean, sports it's been really exciting this weekend. And we'll see what happens. So, DH, I asked before we finish, I want to, we got some exciting things coming out for the women's basketball. We know that WNBA is starting in a few weeks. We just almost 2-3 weeks away. But one of your favorite players, A'ja Wilson, one of my favorite players, her shoe is releasing this weekend, I believe. Yes, this weekend. The A1s are releasing. DH, we saying it here. We hope A'ja Wilson, if you listening, can we please get the shoe? We wear a size 6. Can we please get the shoe? We want the shoe. But DH, how do you feel about the shoe? Do you like the colorway, the pink on pink? And I saw her with the icy blue. Like, which one you going with? How do you feel about those shoes? Are you going to be in line on sneakers?
Yeah, I'm going to get them. I don't know what color I'm going to get right now. Whatever is available, I'll get. I'm just going to use them to play basketball, or who knows, I might wear them to the clinic just to make somebody mad. Yeah. They love to say, why you don't wear Hokas? Because I don't feel like it. I like wearing Nikes. That's why.
And you wear A1s. What's your favorite shoe?
To play in, I'll probably say some LeBrons. I used to have the LeBrons that had them straps with all them holes in them. They kind of didn't look nice, but I just liked them because they was different, and they was all black. I remember those. I don't remember the name of those, or what number those were. They was early on in his career. Maybe they weren't too far, but they had a bunch of holes, and they had like 4 straps, but it was like two double straps basically, and they just felt good on me. I liked them. They was different.
Yeah, I remember that shoe. You did play them a lot. Those was nice. I think that was like his second shoe. Something like that. Yeah.
I also like the Mellows too. Them was nice. I think that was early in his career. Remember when he had them blue and white ones here?
Yeah.
And they was like, yeah, I like those too. I like Mellow shoes. But anyway, this is it for us. It was a controversial episode. We talked about the NFL. We talked about Shedeur. Obviously, the controversy with Malaysia for Wiley. And then, something that's not too controversial is the Lakers. They got to do better. That's just a fact. But anyway, thank y'all for listening. Thank you for subscribing. Be looking for the next episode. We try to upload them weekly. Sometimes it don't work out that way. We gonna try to do it more consistently is what I would say. Thank you for being fans. Y'all rocking with us regardless. You know that this is not easy for us to do. We come on here and we take takes that, some are controversial and some they need a longer, they need us to talk about them longer. So the editing process, it may take a while. But anyway, stick with us. Thank you for being fans. We're realistic fans. Me and Sierra, we do this by ourselves and we have a good time. Be looking out because when we get to our 10th episode, we going to have one of the guests that we've been begging him to get on this show. We won't let y'all know right now, but be looking out for that one. And it's been fun. Follow us on TikTok. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on Instagram. Chat with us, get in our comments, give us a 5-star rating if you like listening to the show. But as always, thank you for listening.